In this video, I wanted to talk about what I would consider the number one thing holding people back in this space. And I think even outside of this space, it plagues the vast majority of people, really. And that would be that of the imposter syndrome. I mean, go ahead and let me know if you resonate with this, right? If you've experienced this. I certainly have. I'll just start off by saying it's that feeling that, you'll never be able to get whatever you're going for. Maybe it's OSCP, whatever. You feel like you're not good enough, or, even if it's maybe not that overt to that extreme, you have this self-doubt, right? In the back of your mind, you have this creeping doubt of, what if you're not good enough? What if you never pass? What if you, whatever, right? Thinking you're in over your head, this stuff's too hard. You'll never be as knowledgeable and as skilled as XYZ content creator, right? I think that so many people, so many people experience this. I can just tell by when I read certain comments, when I, or in certain Discord chats and things like that. So many people, say these things. Maybe they say negative things to themselves. They self-deprecate, perhaps. Even people that are really knowledgeable and really skilled already, they feel like they know nothing, right? And I think there's a lot of people out there that would say that you're always going to experience that. You're always going to feel like an imposter. But I reject that notion. I absolutely do. And the reason I say that is I used to be the person that experienced this in droves. Like I really had that imposter syndrome. And I can honestly say I do not experience that anymore. Completely honest with you, I don't experience that anymore. And I'm not saying this to be like, look at me, I'm this amazing pen tester, right? Really not. The reason I'm saying this is I've had this problem, I experienced it, and I've overcome it. And I know that you can as well because I know how I overcame it. So that's something I definitely want to talk about in this video as well. But before I do, just let me know in the comment section if this is something that you've experienced. I think that for many of you, it probably is. And, how did I overcome this, right? Basically, when we talk about things like imposter syndrome, not being good enough, things like that, this is a mindset issue, right? This is an internal problem, right? This is in your head. It only exists up here. It does not exist anywhere else. There's no such thing as like someone that can't get the OSCP, like physically incapable of getting it. I mean, maybe if you have some like severe mental handicaps, you probably still could get it if you really, really wanted it, right? But there's no such thing as someone who isn't good enough to get it. Maybe you don't know enough right now to have it. Maybe you do. Most likely you do. You just are talking yourself out of it. You're self-sabotaging, perhaps. Now, let me know if this has ever been an experience you've had. You're taking a multiple choice test and you mark the correct answer on the Scantron, and then you go back and erase it and put the wrong answer. Now, why does this happen, right? I'm sure almost everyone has had that happen, but why does that happen? That happens because you're not confident in yourself and your choices and your decisions. You have this creeping self-doubt, perhaps, on some level, you're questioning yourself. You don't think you're good enough. And, this is happening on another level with this security stuff. Now, I almost hesitate to say this because I always say it, but there's a reason I always say it. You will never know everything in security, right? Does that mean you're an idiot because you're really knowledgeable in these topics, but this topic over here you know nothing about, and you're trying to learn it, and it's hard, right? Because let's face it, this stuff's hard. That's why you get paid so much money to be a pen tester, right? It's hard. Not many people are knowledgeable, able to do it, all right? Does that mean that you're an idiot because you don't know how to do something in security that you haven't really spent all that much time learning? And this person over here that spent hundreds or thousands of hours struggling until he learned it, and he stuck it through, he persisted, and then he learned it, and he failed and failed and failed and failed, and now he's an expert. Does that make him smart and you an idiot because he did that and you didn't? No, of course not. That doesn't make any sense, right? So why do you treat yourself this way, right? Why do you put yourself down? Is really what I want to talk about. How can you stop doing that? How can you overcome that? So this next part, let me just preface by saying, I can almost guarantee I know what your reaction is going to be to this, because that's what my reaction was. A lot of people in this space are very logical. I'm very logical as well. This is a good thing, right? This is what allows us to think like a hacker and to figure out loopholes to overcome, certain logic flaws, perhaps to find vulnerabilities. Awesome skill set, right? But sometimes we can be too logical, right? Sometimes we might, neglect, more of like, how are we feeling, right? Like what's going on in our mental state. And so this can sound a little bit woo-woo. What I'm going to say is how the way that I actually overcame this. But bear with me for a second. The way that I actually overcame this was through something called hypnosis, self-hypnosis and guided hypnosis as well, hypnotherapy, if you will. And I would really love to get my hypnotist friend on this channel, do a little interview. I think it would benefit so many people. Let me know in the comments section if that's something you'd be interested in, and I'll try to make that happen. So basically, all these negative mindsets, negative things that I thought about myself, not thinking that I was good enough, that, I couldn't achieve whatever I wanted to achieve, or at least, if not on that scale, at least having that self-doubt in the back of my mind that, oh, you're going to fail this. And all of that, there was a reason for that, okay? There was a reason for that. And if you're feeling that way, and if you're saying these negative things to yourself, I guarantee you there is a reason for that as well. Now, let's also just take a step back here and say that most of us that probably didn't have the best childhoods growing up, right? Maybe there was someone in our lives that, had a negative impact. Maybe they meant well even, but they just had a negative impact. Or maybe they didn't mean well, right? Whatever the case might be, maybe you have someone, if you look back to your childhood, maybe there was someone in your life that was constantly, maybe a family member even, constantly telling you that, you weren't good enough, or maybe they would, treat you harshly every time you failed or didn't meet their expectations. And for one reason or another, maybe, you experienced certain traumas in your life, and maybe you didn't even consider them traumas at the time, but they had an effect on you and molded you into who you are today, to think a certain way, have certain limiting beliefs about yourself. I think that that's extremely common, for sure. But I think that, a lot of people, they spend their entire lives of looking for external solutions to everything, right? So they look for an external solution to every problem they have. But the issue is that, this issue that we're talking about here, it only exists up here, right? It only exists in your mind. These limiting beliefs are just that. They're beliefs, right? Where beliefs reside? They reside in your mind. So you have this internal problem, but all you're doing is looking for external solutions to it. You're not going to be able to fix the real issue, right? You're going to maybe address the symptoms, but you're not going to address at the root cause of this, right? So that's where hypnosis can come into play, right? You actually are fixing the problem at the source. It's an internal solution to your internal problem, right? So that's the first thing that makes this so much different than like anything else that you would try out there. Trust me, I've tried it all, right? I've tried all the external solutions. So what you do in hypnotherapy, for you guys for probably the majority of people that don't know, because I didn't know until I met people that specialize in this, but what they'll do is they'll bring up, those, they'll try to target and they'll try to determine, where this belief system's coming from. Where is this coming from? And they're going to try to get you to experience that feeling. Now that's the key part, right? You have to feel it to heal it, as a lot of them like to say, right? You want to ramp it up, bring it to the surface, ramp it up, and have you let go of that. And That's really what makes it different, is just targeting it at the source, right? Because if you have certain belief systems, certain limiting beliefs or whatever, there's a reason for that, okay? So that's why I would definitely say that it's worth it to give this thing a try, because I think so many of us in this space are super logical and we never check in with the feelings that we have and like where they could come from. So honestly, I did several sessions, and let me just say, the results, I'm a completely different person now, if I'm being completely honest with you. And if you don't believe me that I'm a completely different person, what I'm going to do at the end of this video, in the end screen, I will have a link to the first videos I've ever made on this channel back in 2018. You'll immediately notice I had so much less energy. I didn't carry myself with the same air of confidence that I do today. And this is the reason why, guys. This is the X factor. This is the secret to why. You know, so many people look for secrets. Well, here's your secret, right? Fix it. Fix yourself from within, right? The secret is, that, if you didn't have the things holding you back, because let's be honest, right? If there's things you want to achieve, things you want to be able to do, what's stopping you? Just go out and do it, right? Well, I'll tell you what's stopping you. What's stopping you is you are stopping yourself. Because if you had nothing holding you back, what would you do, right? If you knew that you could achieve anything you wanted, like you absolutely knew with 100% certainty, what would you do, right? So, the reason that you're not out there doing all of the things that you want to do and just achieving everything you wanted to is because you're getting in your own way. So how can you get yourself out of your own way? Well, first, figure out why it is you do that. Ramp that to the surface. Ramp that feeling to the surface and let go of it. And, I would love to bring the guy on the channel. I think he would provide so much value to all you guys here. And even if you don't work with him, now you know about a possible solution to the problems you might be having. Hypnotherapy is amazing. I wish I would have known about it sooner. I'm fortunate enough to have learned about it at a young age. And I'm a completely different person now. If you go back and watch those videos, all of my friends have noticed. Those hypnotherapy guys have definitely noticed. Even my family has noticed as well. So I think that it's definitely something to give a try if you haven't ever considered it or haven't ever tried it before. I mean, hell, if you're anything like me, you've tried everything else already on the external side anyway. So what do you really have to lose, And that was the mindset that I was in when I'm like, okay, I'll try this. Because I was very skeptical at first, as you might be right now. I was very skeptical because I'm such a logical person. But if you really do think about it in a logical sense, right? It's an internal problem. This is an internal solution. So it does make sense, but it might be a little counterintuitive to what you might have originally believed. So that's where I'll say, if you're watching this video and you're like, yeah, I totally resonate with what you're saying. I experience this feeling of, the self-doubt and things like that. Then I would say, yeah, man, go for it. What do you have to lose, really? Give it a try. See, how it works for you. And you might be like me where it takes you multiple sessions. Now, usually you take one session, and my friend, if he's on this channel, he'll talk more about this, but usually one session, boom, you'll notice an immediate change after the session, gone forever. A lot of whatever you're targeting, it might be gone forever in one session. That's how incredible this is. But, there might be multiple layers to what you need to work through. So you might have to, if you've had if you had a pretty hard upbringing, and things like that, it might take you multiple sessions. There might be multiple layers to things that you just need to peel through. And that's completely fine. But I just want you to know that whatever it is that you want to do, you can just go do it. You can just do it, right? I mean, the only reason that you couldn't is that you're in your own way, right? So I think it's pretty clear then at this point that we just got to figure out, for a lot of you guys, how we could get you out of your own way so that you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. And once you allow yourself to go for it, right? Because I think one issue what I want to kind of close off with, one issue that a lot of people have is they attach too much to their identity, right? So they think that, okay, if I pass this, like if I go for this cert, if I go for OSCP, let's say, and I fail, that means I'm a failure, right? And even if they don't say that directly, they think that, right? They, in their mind, that's what their mind tells them. You know, they go for it, they fail, and you're like, see, I told you couldn't do this. I told you weren't good enough, right? So I think that one thing this is really good at is kind of detaching yourself from that result. From you could fail something. You might fail, you know, just because you have an amazing mindset doesn't mean you're never going to fail. It's just that when you fail, you don't think that, you know, you failed because you're a loser. That doesn't mean anything about you, right? You just, maybe you didn't have the amount of knowledge that you needed to pass yet, right? Maybe you didn't know what you needed to know yet, but that doesn't mean that you're somehow incapable of succeeding. Doesn't mean that you're a loser, you're a failure, you're anything, right? That means nothing about you. All that means is you attempted it and you didn't pass. That's all it means, right? So that's what I would close off on, honestly, because all of you guys, you know, you have goals, maybe OSCP, whatever the case may be. You are more than capable of achieving those goals. So yeah, hopefully I motivated you guys a little bit, showed you a potential solution to a problem you might be having. But yeah, let me know in the comment section down below if you'd like me to get my friend on for an interview. I'll definitely try and make that happen. And in the meantime, if you want some more technical content, I got that on the screen right now for you guys. I'll see you guys in those videos. Thanks for watching.